All right, Max, we're finally here. The Boston Celtics up against the Brooklyn Nets. Easter Sunday, Game 1 in Boston. And I think we're in for one heck of a series, man. It's another episode of the Cedric Maxwell Podcast. I am Josue Pavon. He is Cedric Maxwell. Man, paint the picture for me. Easter Sunday, TD Garden. What can we expect? All the talk's been going on all week. We'll talk about the headlines and we'll talk about the storylines like we always do. Keeping it 100 here like we always do. But Max, paint the picture for me, though. What's Game 1 going to look like between these two teams?
Well, Game 1 should be a testing for both teams. They'll come out probing to see what will work and what won't work. I think the Celtics want to play a full complement of their players. And Brooklyn wants to feature two guys. They want to feature Kyrie and Durant. And you're going to get a chance to see if two great players can beat seven guys. And that's why I think the Celtics have a definite advantage. Sunday, Easter, man, I don't think it gets any better than that. I mean, the whole week, this weekend from Boston is crazy. The Red Sox just had their opener. Red Sox just had their opener. They'll be in town. Then you have the marathon coming up. You have Sunday. This is a huge weekend, but for the Celtics, this weekend couldn't get any better than having Brooklyn come to town. Everybody's been afraid of the boogeyman. You can't finish second because you might get Brooklyn. Well, you got Brooklyn. And maybe Brooklyn's afraid of you instead of you afraid of Brooklyn.
I like that. I like the way you think, Max. And you know what? You know what else, too? The way this path goes, if the Celtics are to make a deep playoff run this year, it's a revenge tour, right? It's the Brooklyn Nets. It's, the Milwaukee Bucks, if you move on that far. It could potentially be the Miami Heat. The three teams that stopped your playoff run the last 3 years. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that if you're the Celtics. But, of course, you have to come correct, right? You have to be that defensive team that you've been for the second half of the regular season and go in with that same type of energy.
Well, I think the Celtics obviously are the team that's going to be maybe a little nervous coming out of the box. You think of the guys that they have and what they're able to do. Kyrie Irving has won a championship. Durant has won a championship. The Celtics they're a symbol right now. This is not a championship team. So they're going to have to learn how to maybe those first couple of jitters, those first couple of moments. But I'll let you in on something. These first two games are critical for both teams. In the sense that if the Celtics win the first two games here at home, this series will be over in 5.
Wow. Okay. All right. My prediction is 6. Celtics in 6. But why do you say that? You just think they'll have the confidence they need to at least grab one in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I think they would. If you go up 2-0 going into Brooklyn, Brooklyn is a team that's been kind of up and down. Obviously, they'll want to defend their territory, but you want to put them back on their heels. And if you get them back on their heels, I think that you gain confidence with the guys that you have, and they would play much better going into Brooklyn, considering that Brooklyn's back would be against the wall.
Well, what do you make of some of these quotes that are coming out, right? Because obviously everyone's going to ask Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum about Kyrie Irving. Well, what's the relationship like? What do you guys still talk? And they're all saying the right thing, right? They're saying what you want to hear, which is, yeah, we still talk, but we know on the court that there's no friends there. Jaylen Brown even was open enough to say, look, we didn't always have a great history when he was here, but now, things have changed. And he's someone that I call a friend, someone that I still talk to. But when the game starts, all that is put to the side. How much are you buying that, going into this one? Obviously, there's a level of respect there between both sides, but how much, I guess what I was saying is how much respect between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and what they've been saying about Kyrie Irving, their relationship, like how much are you buying that, that it's going to be strictly business once they're on the court and playing the game?
I think it will be. And why would I say that? Because I think that you have Brown and Tatum. This isn't their first rodeo, and they played against Brooklyn before. They played against Durant before. So I don't think that they come in with any kind of fear factor. I think they'll be a little bit nervous coming in playing them. But this is the road that you've kind of settled into, and Milwaukee forced your hand even more by laying down in the game that they played and put you in a position to be number 2. If Milwaukee really wanted to have number 2, they would have had number 2, and you probably would have been playing Chicago instead. But if you're going to the finals this year, obviously you have the toughest road. You have Brooklyn, you'd have possibly Milwaukee, and then maybe you'd have Miami. So I think that, you're going to be going through the iron of the NBA. It won't be a cakewalk at all.
It won't be, but I think mentally these guys are ready for that type of challenge. And obviously it starts with the Brooklyn Nets. It starts with going up against Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. I mean, look, we could say all you want about the Celtics defense and what it's been lately, in contrast to what it was with Robert Williams in the mix. And we'll get into that in a second. But without Robert Williams against these guys, I mean, it's essentially going to be you got to beat them one-on-one. They're going to be in situations because they're constantly switching that guys like Daniel Tice, guys like Al Horford, guarding the perimeter against two of the best, let's face it, two of the best players in the world when it comes to ISO ball. How does that play out for the Celtics? And how much is that going to factor into the Celtics potentially, going to Brooklyn with the series tied or having this thing go down to a potential Game 7 winner take all,
Well, I think what happens is the fact that the Celtics have been a great switching team. And part of that has been that Robert Williams has been in the background. I think one of the keys is what happens with Tatum and what happens with Durant. The last time here in Boston, Durant was beaten really by Tatum. So if you can have Tatum even out or cancel out what Durant does, now you have all these guys against Kyrie Irving, and you put Marcus Smart in the mix, who's going to be a key because he'll be the guy that's going to be matched up against Kyrie Irving. I like the Celtics' chances. And even to the point what, was it Bruce Brown said about Daniel Tice and kind of spoke out of the house and KD kind of shot it down like, man, don't give the opposition any fuel any fuel at all. But you heard Daniel Tice talk about it. You've heard other Celtics talk about it. So I think everybody is going to try to, everybody's going to have to be in another gear. This is big time basketball. This is your big boy draws has to be on during this series. and frankly, I love it.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. It's funny you bring that up because I was going to say, the guy who with the least experience out of the the 4 superstars in this series, 5 superstars in this series, comes out and says that, and he says it right after the win. He's obviously feeling himself. He's obviously feeling a lot of confidence flowing through him because he's thinking, well, there's no Robert Williams out there. We can attack Al Horford. We can attack Daniel Tice. And I love what Ime had to say in response to that. It was like, well, look, there's no weak spots here. There's a reason why we're able to switch as much as we do, and it's a success. And we've been able to blow teams out the way we did, very good teams, throughout that span, the second half of the regular season.
Celtics have more, one of the words my broadcast partner, Sean Grandy, likes to use, the Celtics have more ancillary pieces. And when you think of Grant Williams, what Grant can do to you, he can hurt. You look at Marcus Smart, we don't know where he could be shooting or being a facilitator, but we know how he's going to defend the ball. Now you start looking, is Pritchard going to be shooting the ball the way he has? And I think you just look at all these different guys who can come in and make a contribution. Where you look at Brooklyn, they're more shorthanded. And I don't think anybody would say that. Everybody said, well, maybe Simmons comes back, and you hear Simmons coming back. Simmons coming back now scheduled for Game 6. There ain't gonna be no Game 6. Bro, you coming back? You going on vacation? Ain't no Game 6. It's not. I think it's going to be over for whatever team. But I think the Celtics are going to win it. But whatever team, I believe it will not be a game. It won't get to a Game 6.
That's funny. You say Game 6. I heard from, I think it was ESPN. I think it was Woj. It was like he'll be back either Game 4, 5, or 6. I'm like, what are we doing here? You're just going to throw him into the fire? This is a player who he hasn't played a game. He hasn't played a minute this season, Max.
Look, I love that. Man, he could either come back 4, 5, or 6. I mean, that's a big spread. Are you saying to me, if he just says
that's like a 2-week window, man.
Yeah, if he says to me, you got a possibility of coming back during the series, I think that he can do that. I live with that, but you're saying 4 or 5 or 6, that makes that your credibility kind of is thrown out the window. Like, just take a guess, man. You'll see where they're at. But I don't really concern. I don't think the Celtics really concern themselves with that. I think there's so many ways the Celtics can come out and attack. And I think even if you look at Brooklyn versus Cleveland, Brooklyn gave up a lot of easy opportunities to Cleveland in a game that,
that got interesting.
Supposedly was a game that Brooklyn was going to walk away with. Brooklyn was up close to 20 at one time, and Cleveland made it almost a 2-possession game. So I would have to have some concern right now if I was Brooklyn.
It's interesting you bring that up, Max, because the way the Cleveland Cavaliers were playing, well, let's face it, I never thought they had a chance to win the game, but I knew they would make it interesting because they were fighting out there. But when they got really thirsty, or when I should say they felt like they were going to go in for the kill, that was their biggest mistake. You know what they did, Max? They started doubling up on Durant, doubling up on Kyrie, and all of a sudden it was Lob City to Nick Claxton. And then I'm looking at it as like, okay, Celtics, don't do that. Don't fall in love with that, because they make it attractive, right? They make it look like it's there for you. It's there for the taking. And then all of a sudden, it's an 8-point, 12-point swing because they've gone on a run, whether it's or whether it's from 3-pointers from Kevin Durant,
I think that what you have to do, you're going to play it as it goes along. And I think the same thing can be said of Brooklyn. Brooklyn, what we saw with Brooklyn, they start double teaming Tatum. Then that left Brown open, that left Smart open, that left Pritchard open. We get guys open on the wing. Another guy's going to be Al Horford, who's going to come into play. So a bunch of veteran guys and a mixture of younger guys. I like the Celtics' chances, again, a lot more because of what they have on the table.
It's unbelievable for him to even say that, Brian. Just one more thing about Bruce Brown, because it's like, listen, that's Al Horford on the other side you're talking about. That guy has played over 100 games in the playoffs. Like, he's proven that he can defend at a high level. He's a starting power forward. Like, I honestly think he's going to be one of those X factors that when you look back at the series or when you look back at the first 2-3 games, you're going to be like, man, he made an impact that didn't necessarily show up in the box score. But those switches, and when they're going to try to attack him, they're going to be mistaken. Believe me, I've seen it already. He's able to switch out there. You can leave him on an island. He'll be able to, he'll keep his guy in front of him. Even at his age.
Another good one is when Grant is in the pick and roll situation.
He's
been very good at controlling that point of attack. Rob Williams did it, so he would almost bait you into shooting the jump shot and then go after it at some point after you release it from your fingertips. That won't happen with Daniel Tice. Daniel Tice isn't the defender that Rob Williams is. We know that. But we know that Daniel Tice will throw his nose in there. He'll get dirty. He'll, get in the pick and rolls. He'll shoot the little jump shot a little bit more effective maybe than Rob Williams would do. So there are a lot of options which the Celtics have right now in this series to me. And if, if Bruce Weber said about him, I really don't care, because I said something stupid when it came to playing against Bernard King. I said, ain't no bitch going to score 40 on me. I said that before the series started and went out and, put my hand out to shake hands, and he pulled his hand back and I'm like, okay, it's on. So at that point, you got to put up, shut up. And we held them to 22 in Boston, 26. But then
you held them a couple of times.
Yeah, but then he went down to New York and got crazy. But at the end of the day, we put him out of his misery and sent him home.
Can the Celtics survive a Kevin Durant gone crazy? Can they survive a 85-point game between the two or something like outrageous like that?
Well, let me say, if you've got two guys who score 85 points.
Combined,
combined for 85 points. You got two guys combined for 85 points, and then you keep everybody else scoreless or 2 or 3 points. Okay, you got 85, and now you got 94 points. I think 94 points, Celtics win the basketball game.
That's
so. You could survive that. That could be, you could survive that. And Marcus Smart is going to be one of these keys, because he's going to be the guy who's going to be playing Kyrie Irving heads up, be very physical with him, challenge him on the box, and make it difficult for him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess that's my point, Max. I mean, like these two can obviously go off. They can obviously have a huge second half of one of these crucial games. But at the end of the day, I just think to what Sean Graney said, those ancillary pieces, I mean, look, there's Seth Curry for the Brooklyn Nets. But Seth Curry hasn't looked so hot recently, right? That isn't the Seth Curry that they necessarily need right now. I mean, they have streaky options outside of that. And you could say somewhat the same about the Celtics, but as a cohesive unit on defense, it's been consistent, you know? And whether we're talking about guys like Grant coming off the bench or whether he's starting or guys like Peyton Pritchard getting into the mix, you know, Derek White has found his stride, you know, towards the end of the season. I mean, they got options for sure. And they do their jobs on both ends of the floor. That's the difference, I think.
Yeah, I think that is going to be the key. And here it is. What you said is so true. For Brooklyn to win, for Brooklyn to make it close, those two guys that you talked about have to have fantastic games. That neither one of the guys can have a subpar game or an average game for Brooklyn. They both have to be on fire for Brooklyn to get an opportunity to win this series.
Definitely. Absolutely. And I think Marcus Smart plays a huge part here because he's proven himself as the point guard of this team, that he can do it. They gave him the keys. He succeeded. And I think in this series, whether it's the stacking up assists, finding guys in the corner, or whether it's just being that point guard, knowing when to attack and when to pass, I think that's going to be a huge factor into this one. His offense, not just necessarily his defense.
You think of it, the first couple of minutes of this game, that place is going to be rocking, man. It is absolutely going to be
it's hot outside.
It's going to be
everybody's chilling.
Sunday
weekend.
You know, the Sunday. This is to get your damn Easter eggs and your Easter bonnet, your Easter
3 o'clock,
and your Easter clothes, man. And you know, get ready because this is going to be a hot one in the Garden.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. Well, Max, I'll be remiss if we don't bring up a certain member of the Brooklyn Nets. Had some Twitter fingers words. Has some words for Nick Gelso, our guy here at CLNS Media. Man, I know this thing is almost a week old, but look, we talked about it off air. We talked about it on the phone. I guess the talking points for the most part was this is hours before tip-off. You know, the play-in tournament game, rather the last game of the regular season. Brooklyn Nets last game for the Brooklyn Nets, and KD's on Twitter, and he didn't like what Nick had to say, but it wasn't the initial tweet that got Kevin riled up, right? It wasn't the fact that he was comparing him to Larry Bird in terms of being which better the all-time better small forward. It's because he talked about his personality, and he said that he makes himself to be the victim, and he, he's gonna always be that try to be a villain. Called him a fraud, and Kevin Durant said what he said, right? Kevin Durant kept it short and sweet and just said, "Look, funny how grown men can be on here and act like attention whores." What's your reaction to that, Max?
I don't think Durant understands that he can't fight everybody. I mean, this could be somebody in the basement, the grandma's basement, who lives there, and they got their fingers on the computer, and you're going back at him. You are one of the best players in the world. Don't step down into it. How many times you've said, never dip into the opposition. Let the opposition come and catch you. And
yeah, but it's the Boston vibes, though. I think the Boston thing hit a nerve.
You guys,
serious.
Yeah,
they want to smoke with the Celtics. I think.
No,
you don't think so?
I don't care. We've seen Durant do that from whatever it is. He's with Oklahoma. We saw him do it when he was with Golden State. We saw him do it against.
That's true.
Drake. I mean, it's like all these people, he's going at people like.
That was the only one that you could kind of understand, but
yeah,
okay, you can get at Drake, but
but Drake ain't no player. He ain't no basketball player. Not that I know of. I mean, this is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is one of the best players in the world, and so if you're looking to get into a fight with anybody over basketball and what they might think of you, your position is solid. And I love when the one comment I love, and I think that's when Patrick Beverley was trying to rough him up and hit him with the body when he was playing in a series one time. And Kevin Durant turned to the media and said, you guys know who I am, don't you? I'm Kevin Durant. And Patrick Beverley later on said, you heard what he said. He said, I'm damn Kevin Durant. So if you're Kevin Durant, to me, stay up here. You don't need to go wallow in the mud with the pigs. Stay up here. You're at the and no offense to my guy Nick Gelso, but
yeah, man, you kind of throw him in the mud right now, man.
You don't need to wallow that. You don't need to go down there at all when you are already at the mountaintop. You're at the mountaintop, and you're looking down into the valley, and you're saying, "Well, those people down in the valley are talking about me, so I'm gonna go down there and throw some stones up." No, you're in the valley. Let them come up to you and find you. So I just wish Kevin Durant would not have the ears or that he has on Twitter, because it could be anybody saying something to Durant, and Durant always seems like he has a follow-up or a rebuttal. There's no need to have one. That's it. And hell, I have people talking about me all the time. Well, you didn't do this, and you didn't know Larry, and Larry Bird did this for you, and you rode this guy for where they did it. Well, here, let's give you some facts. Facts is that, I'm a finals MVP. Facts is I'm a two-time world champion. Facts is I led my team in scoring many times. So you don't wallow down with like, I don't care about your game. I know one guy said, well, I think it was my highlight package one time. Guy said, well, all I saw was layups. Is there a problem? Is there a problem with having 24 points in a world championship game? But do I go back at this guy and go, well, damn it, I did this? No, it's not even about that, dude. I'm an NBA player, just like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's an NBA player. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the top 75 players of all time. Why are you wallowing down in the mud with Nick Gelso? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, but Max, I think you would, if you had Twitter back in your day, I think you would get at some people, but you would get at players.
No.
You would get at Lakers. No. You would talk so much trash to Lakers players.
I would not even.
Get out of here.
I have enough talking.
After you did that to Worthy, you wouldn't have got on Twitter and been like, hey, Worthy, nice miss.
No.
Great free throws, Worthy.
I might have won.
Low game James, or whatever you would have called it.
I might have won at James.
That's what I mean. You would go at players, though. You wouldn't go
down to like some Laker fan who said, you suck and you this, that, and the other. Hey, some guy told me you couldn't carry Kurt Ramsey's glasses around. Oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna go back at this guy to tell him, yeah, I can. No, if it's a fellow player, then that's something different. But if it's
that's what I mean.
A random fan, I'm not going down and making myself as small as him. I've said that about, when you play basketball, when you're big, when you have the ball and you get a rebound, keep it high. Now, once you get it down low, you become as small as anybody around you because you have the ball around your waist. Use your size. The size I have is that, look, I played against these guys. I know these guys. These guys have respected me. And even if they don't, they might talk some noise about me. But at the end of the day, it said they have to respect me. And that's why I said about Kevin Durant. There's no need. It was another guy, Rappaport, or wasn't it an actor? Oh,
he got into it with Rappaport. Yeah.
What the hell? Can he shoot a jump shot? When's the last time he was on the court? I mean, here's a guy who loves Scal, who kind of looks like Scal. So you're arguing with him about what? Why are you arguing with him? There's no need.
Yeah, it's because he talks the most. That's why. And he's a public figure. So, Durant, if Durant's getting at anybody, he's going to get at public figures too. He's technically a public figure.
Well, you look at Nick Gelso. He's not necessarily.
Yeah, but hold on, man. I was just going to say
public figure.
He looked at his info. He saw CEO, CLNS Media, founder of CLNS. He's like, man, this guy's talking trash. Don't act like Kyrie doesn't know what CLNS Media.
Let me just do it,
man.
Let me do it like this.
Durant, Kyrie, they know CLNS Media.
If you are an elephant, are you concerned about what ants are doing? Unless they have an ant mound, you're not concerned about that. That's not.
I think it's more of Durant. Like, I think Durant just loves putting people on blast. Like it's like a drug for him or something. The way people with Nets fans go, "Oh, you really got him there," or clutch points. Clutch points is like, another one bites the dust or whatever.
No, but what it does, it puts them into a position of looking small. That's all that does. I mean, so what? You got you shed such and such up. And that guy is still tweeting along. It doesn't make any difference what he says. I mean, wasn't it The Rock that said that? Just said that, excuse me, sir, what is your name? The guy said, it doesn't matter what your name is. That's the same way I look at Durant. That's what he should be. He should be like The Rock. It doesn't matter what your name is. It doesn't matter what your Twitter handle is.
I swear to you, I never saw that shit coming when my friends would say that. And it pissed me off almost every time.
Yeah,
I hated that shit. Yeah. Hey, by the way, yo, what class you have next? Oh, I got it. Doesn't matter what class you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny, but it's to a point. It doesn't matter what Nick Gelso has to say about. Now, if it was an NBA Hall of Famer, say when you see Kareem going at LeBron, then that's a different matter. When you see another NBA player going at somebody, that's a different matter. But when you have a regular civilian going at a superstar.
Hey, CEO and founder of this company.
Don't give a damn what CEO and founder or whatever. Nick Gelso ain't never shot a jump shot, took a charge in his life. Unless, who was it? Michael Irving said, unless you in your backyard someplace, Halloween and your mom gave you a basketball uniform. That's the point. And I love when he said that. Some guy was up there said, when's the last time you were, a football player? He said, when your mother dressed you up for Halloween and you put on a giant uniform. That's the last time you actually were out
the football in your hand.
Yeah. So that to me it's beneath me. It's beneath me. If I'm Durant.
All right. If you're Durant, right, exactly. Oh man, that's funny. All right, before we wrap up, man, another report from ESPN. Yes, I was just going to say another report from ESPN. This one's from Woj, another one from Woj, and he's saying that there's a good chance that Rob will make a return before the end of this first round matchup against the Nets. Potentially, if there is a game 6, they're saying
is this
he's ahead of schedule.
Is this game 4, 5, 6? Which one is it this time that he's talking about? He's coming back. This one he's a little more narrow, I guess. Narrow it down to me.
It's not 3, 4, 5, or 6. It's not 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. That to me is it's so random. But I think
the timetable it should be around game 5 or game 6. Is the time.
Well, what I've been hearing, and I heard some Celtic people talking about that, said Rob Williams is now doing 2-a-days, and that he's working out. And so if you're doing 2-a-days, obviously there must not be a setback. And that's what you really look for. Is there swelling? Is there soreness in the knee after you work out? And I remember distinctly, when I had my surgery and had meniscus and came back, man, there was swelling, there was soreness, and I couldn't really move, the way I wanted to move. But so
did they ever remove a part of it? Was it a similar procedure? Okay.
Meniscus, it was a partial tear, and they took one of the flaps out, and there was irritation. And man, I'm telling you, it was very painful. It was painful and sore, and trying to go back out and play essentially on one leg. What Robert Williams is doing, going 2-a-days, that to me shows me that he's getting confidence, he's getting strength in the knee, and the Celtics would not put him out there if there was discomfort or if there was swelling after he got through work.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Rob told the media. He spoke to us earlier in the week and said that he feels great. He knows his body. He's very comfortable with where he's at, and he's felt the progress thus far, so to speak. He's felt what the difference he's been feeling the last couple of weeks compared to now. He's like, I'm on the right track. So that's obviously good news.
Well, it is good news. And the fact that when he had the surgery, he came out of the surgery and he said he felt instant relief. So that was a good sign for the Celtics. And these 2-a-day workouts, cross your fingers if you're a Celtic fan right now, that there is no setback at all. If there's no setback, and the good thing about it, there are no second night of a back-to-back. You have length in it. You're going to have Sunday, Wednesday, right? Sunday, Wednesday.
Yep. Game 1, game 2.
Sunday, Wednesday, and then you go to Saturday, and then
Monday.
You have a lot of time to heal, recover, treat, and do all those things. So maybe Robert Williams is back sooner than later.
Yeah, and that's the luxury of the first round. You don't get that type of schedule beyond the first round of the playoffs. So that's huge for the Celtics. Yeah, for sure. All right, Max. So you're saying Celtics in game 1, Celtics in game 2. That's your official prediction? And you're saying what? Celtics in 5?
I'm still thinking if they can win these first 2 games, this series will be over in 5 games. That's my prediction.
Okay. All right.
And put it this way. If they lose the first 2, the series is going to be over in 5. So either way, these first 2 are critical games for both teams.
So it could go the other way, huh?
Good.
Yeah, that's my fear. That's my fear. If Brooklyn steals 1, then that could change the whole complexion of the entire series. Because then you're going into game 2 with a lot more pressure. Yeah. I mean, obviously we've been through this. It happens in the playoffs, but when the road team steals 1, it gets interesting. It always does.
Well, that's when they say the series begins.
Exactly. It's the old saying says.
Right, and that's why it's going to be critical those first couple of minutes. Will the Celtics be able to get over their nerves? Because this is a nervous situation when you play in Brooklyn and you have 2 guys right now like Kyrie and Durant who are world champions, and they've done it on the biggest stages. So they have the experience, but I don't think they have the manpower.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see, of course. You already know next week we'll be back with another episode. It'll be between when we were switching cities, right, Max? So it'll be perfect. We'll recap games 1 and 2 and plenty more, I'm sure, as we'll have something happen in the game 1 or game 2, something crazy. Maybe some friction. Maybe we'll get some maybe this be a chippy series. I think we could be in store.
Well, I guarantee you this. Kyrie's not going to go out and step on the leprechaun this time. And
I don't think
will it be blowback from that? So you're bringing in my.
Well, now it's a new one, right? The scoring girlfriend's a new one.
In my thing of the NBA or all these people who come to different cities, there's certain players who come in and they become villains. A-Rod became a villain. Kyrie has made himself a villain. So you think of, these different scenarios and Kyrie has put himself in that position, and great players. This is what it is, Josue. Great players love it. Great players embrace it. Great players, they bathed in all the criticism that happens on the floor.
I think nothing, and I believe absolutely nothing motivates Kyrie more than that. More than people saying you can't do something, or more than the odds are stacked against you. You don't have a chance. I mean, that's when you see moments like we saw at the NBA Finals when he hit the biggest 3 in Cavaliers history. That's when you see him rise to the occasion. So he's going to do it, man. I mean, listen, he's been averaging over 30 points over the last 15 games of the season. The Nets went 10-5 to end the regular season. They had to scratch and crawl some of those wins, but best believe Kyrie's going to come with it. I don't think he's going to have a fluke of a game. I don't think he'll have a dud.
Yeah, but the thing that happens for the Celtics is that you have Marcus Smart, one of the best defenders ever to lace them up with the Boston Celtics at that size. So I'm really going to be focused on that matchup throughout the series. Jason Tatum going up against Durant. Again, those 2 guys who cancel each other out. And as you and I like to say all the time, what are we gonna keep this thing right now?
We're gonna keep it on 100.
Keep it on 100. We're gonna keep it on 100 and tell you for the real deal. All right. So anyway, you fans, thank you for subscribing. Clicking. You make us strong. You make us. You make us. You are our 6th man. So thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys next week.